Alright, Corona Part 2. We're going to make a button, or we're going to load an image, which is basically a button, and we're going to make it do stuff. Then I'm going to show you a code from a simple game that I made, a mole mash type game. Then you're going to get the code and tweak it and make it your own. Alright, let's do this. So I am going to do a new project. It's blank. I'm going to call it button. Keep the phone preset upright. Okay, Jose. So it pops up with my simulator, and I have my debugger panel or console, whatever you want to call it. So then I want to edit my main.lua, and I am going to move to a new instance so that way you can see it here. Then I'm going to type a bunch of stuff. So at the beginning, most of the stuff is kind of standard what we did before, some text or one text object, an image object, etc. Actually, I want to get a image from Google. Alright, so I am just going to Google button, and then I'm going to go to images. I want a PNG, whatever, but then I want a certain size. Exactly, I want it to be a width of 100, just because. So we'll see how big that is once we get it on the device simulator. So let's do, and you can make your own button, of course, but I'm lazy for these videos just to show you what's going on. So I'm going to grab this dude. I'm going to view the image, save image as. I already had one that I was messing with, so I'm just going to pop in here, call it button.png, save that. So now I have it right here. Then I am going to hop back over to my code, and I am going to add it to my app. So display.new image button.png, and I want to say my button.x equals display.content width. We're going to divide that by 2 so it's in the center, right? Then I'm going to say my button.y equals, I don't want it in the center vertically, so I want it to be display.content height all the way to the edge minus 75. Whoops, if that was a minus. So then if I hit save, we go back here, it's going to say, hey, you have something on here. I'm going to relaunch it. There's my button. So I'm going to make it do something. So I'm going to create a text object. So local text obj, why not, equals display.new text, and I'm going to say it says tapped. Actually, I want to create a variable, call it counter, have it equal to 0. So then I say tapped counter. Remember, this is our concatenation in Lua. So it's tapped counter times. And then I want to say display dot content width divided by 2 is the X value. Then the Y value, I just want to throw it 100 pixels down the screen. And then I want native dot system font, and I want the size to be, I don't know, 24 pixels. So then I'll save that, go back, hit relaunch, and then there it is. It's in the middle with respect to Y or X. It's centered. Then it's 100 pixels down from the top. So still, it's not doing anything, right? We need to actually create a function and have a listener, like a tap listener, for it to do that. So now we create a function. If I could spell it, we're going to say my button, which we could call the function whatever we wanted. Then we say when the tap is an event, we want it to counter equals counter plus 1. And then we say, because Lua goes line by line, and we say, hey, change the value of counter. This isn't dynamic on the screen of Lua, of Corona's thing. So we actually have to say, okay, update the text value of this object with a new value. So now I have to say text obj dot text equals, and basically the same exact thing, because we want the new value of the counter variable, right? So then we end this function, save, and it still doesn't do anything. We need a listener for it to listen for that tap. So then we say my button, which this time we're referring to the actual image, my button, not the function my button. I'm going to call it something else. My button func. So for the function. So my button image, we're going to add event listener. So with this event listener, we are listening for a tap, which is one of the options. And we want it to do the function when it hears that tap on that image. We want to call the function myButtonFunc. So now if we hit save, relaunch it, oh, I have an error on line 9. Line 9. I swear we wanted that a different name. Attempt to index global myButtonFunc and no value. I don't know. I must be wrong, because I know this works. So we'll just do this. I know there's a way to do it, but I really don't want to look into it. So it works. So now each time you tap the button, so I'm clicking on my mouse. I don't know if you can hear it or not. But each time I'm tapping, it's making this go up, the value, and then it resets the text with that new value that we set right here. So that's that with that. So I want to also do where we move something around based on a tap. So not only are we counting, I'm going to move the text object. So text obj dot y equals text obj.y plus 10. So if I refresh, now it's going to move down the screen. So y value is increasing each time I tap it. What I want to do now is actually print out the value of y, or text obj.y. So print text obj.y. So I want to know what that value is, so that way if it reaches the button, I'm going to make it hop back up to the top. Alright, so I had this going right here, right? So each time I do it, 110, 120, blah, 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 blah. So I want it to stop right at 330. 340 is good. So then I'll do this. I'll set a value. If it's greater than 340, make it 100. All right? So I'll put that right here. If. I think it's if then else, or if then end. Let me look this up real quick. Yeah, if then end. So if text obj.y is greater than, what did I say? Greater than 340. 340. Then text obj.y equals 100. I'm just going to put a couple spaces in here. So save, relaunch it. I'm just going to show this. Why not? So I'm going to tap, 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 tap. 340. What? If text obj.y is greater than 340. I'm really confused. Maybe this time. Yep. So it did it on the 350th. Because I think I need this if statement right here. Oh, because I was printing after I added 10. Dingus. So if I was going to print. Alright, let's do this. So I can say if it's greater than 330. I think this will work too. 330. Then it hops back up to the top. Nice. Good stuff. Well, I think that's all I'm going to show you of new, starting from scratch kind of thing. So what I want to do now is show you some other code from another app that I made. It's a MoleMash version. So as you can see, these scores are a little off because I coded it using the older version, so the placement of things is a little off. But that's okay, the game still works as you'll get the code. So let me show you what it does. If I smack me in the face, if it lets me,
Quit.
I say quit it. And if I miss, well, first, if I smack me in the face, the score goes up, or the core. Then if I miss, Homer says dough, and the lives go down.
Quit.
Right now, there's no win screen, but there is a lose screen. So if I miss,
Game over.
So that was built into it, right? That awesome audio of me going, game over. Right now there isn't a restart function either. So if I have to hit refresh or relaunch or whatever to refresh it. So let me grab and show you this code. Well, actually, I'll show it this way. So once I launch something, it's easy to go show project files. Then once I do that, I can grab and drop it into here. So let's explain some of this code. Hidden status bar, that just hides the status bar at the top. Background image, that's the blue image of me, or no, the blue image of the pixelated robot or whatever. Then we set the variables. Then we have the audios. So what you learn, or the code that you get from this, what you learn from this, and the event listeners and stuff, and the audio plays and that kind of whatever not, you can create a pretty easy sound machine with the code from this. I have a game over false, and that'll determine, if the game over screen shows up or not. This main group thing, I think that helps with the removing of objects. So if you give them a name, put them into a group, you can remove all of the objects in one foul swoop instead of just removing one at a time. So that's definitely very handy. And that's how I got rid of where, once I had a game over, I couldn't keep hitting, the background and hearing do, 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 and seeing the score and that kind of stuff. That's how I got that to work. So the Mr. K button is my face bouncing around the screen. These are the score and lives text. That's pretty straightforward, except for it just needs to be over. The X value needs to be changed. And this is a horrible way to do it. I did a content width divided by 2 and then added 40. That's horrible. But anyway, ran button is a function that is called, let me look down here. Oh, whoops. Ran button, I'll double click on that so I can show when it's called. It's called each time I tap it. It's called when I tap the background. So each time I tap the button, it moves real quick, so that way I can't tap it quickly. And then it's called each time I tap the background. So I have a timer dot perform with delay. So each second, it's going to call this function, which randomly puts it on the screen. So this 22.5 is because I took the width of the picture of me, the ball, so that way it wouldn't be off the screen halfway. And same with this, I did all the way to the edge and then minus half of the ball, so it wouldn't be off the screen half the way. So if I wanted to make it slower, I would make this a 2. That'd be 2 seconds instead of 1 second. So then if I relaunch, see, now it takes 2 seconds for it to randomly move throughout the screen. And I would suggest while you're testing it, on your computer, that you set your timers pretty slow. But ultimately, like if you throw it on a device, you want it fairly fast, so you throw it at 500, which is half a second. See, now it's moving around the screen pretty quickly. What else do we have here? We have when we tap the button, we play the audio quit it, we increase the score, we update the score text, and then we move the button again. Return true, I think that has to do something with, if it used to be if I were to tap, my face, it would play the quit it and the thing underneath it. So it would tap all the way through all layers. So it would tap the background and my face, so it would say quit it and do at the same time. Score would go up and lives would go down. So if you wanted score to go up more quickly, you could add more points here. So each time it increases by 10 or whatever you want to do. So then the game over function, all it does is play the game over sound, apparently. So that happens almost a second after we lose. Let's look at this background tap. So background tap means if we miss my face and tap the background. That makes sense, doesn't it? So if game over equals true, then return true. That just means we're done. So we don't do everything else. Else, we play dope, we decrease lives, we update the lives text object, we randomly move me on the screen, but then we say if lives equals 0, change the background to the loser background, right? Game over, that background. And then we remove everything else off the screen. We say game over equals true. And then, that just makes the whole thing end also. And then we play the game over sound. So that's it. It's pretty straightforward. So what I want you to do, check out the assignment and it'll tell you what to do, I guess. Blah. Thank you. Peace out.